Welcome to Huddle for Success, real talk, real goals, and real results, where they help you make it happen in your life and business. Your hosts are Mark Bruce and Duane Gibbs, and they're here to help you level up your mindset, growth, and your success. Whether you're after personal growth or financial growth, they have you covered. Now let's huddle up.
Good morning. Welcome to Huddle for Success. I'm your host, Duane Gibbs. This is my partner, Mark Bruce. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Duane. Great to see you.
Yes, great to see you. Hey, listen, just to remind everybody, our mission is helping successful people who feel stuck and get them back into the game. And so we come to you each and every week in different topics. And today we want to dive into our playbook for life.
All right. Well, what we're going to talk about is the first chapter. In our first chapter, we talked about a wealthy mindset. So what does that mean? And it means different things to different people. I know a lot of people, when I told them that I was reading Think and Grow Rich, they're like, "You greedy rich guy, what are you doing thinking about money all the time?" And quite honestly, that's not what my mind sees when I see the word rich. I see wealth, I see success. And it could have been Napoleon Hill could have written, Think and Grow Successful, because that's really what the book talks about. So we're going to tease about that a little bit, find out what your definition of success is, of wealth, and maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's family, maybe it's financial security, maybe it's health, maybe it's a successful career. Maybe it's spirituality. I mean, you have to define what it is for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to try and understand the mindset and how a shift in the mindset can help you become wealthier, more successful, richer, and a richer life. And we're going to also talk about paradigm. We're going to introduce you to paradigm. The first time I heard that word, I didn't 100% understand it. So hopefully we can explain that a little bit today. So,
Yeah.
why don't you hit a little bit about why we huddle up?
Well, I think it's important. I mean, our mindset and where we're from, being from Maryland, we are sports guys. And so what comes to mind when we were creating the company was Huddle for Success. And that means boardroom, board of directors, guys that play ball, guys and girls that play sports, and just corporations of sales teams. So everybody has to huddle up and have a plan. What is that plan? If everybody's doing something different, there's really not you can't collaborate and have a successful plan. And so you and I do this hours every single day we have our own huddle up session. And so we huddle about topics of growing the company, segments that we want to talk about like now, and then just talk about our vision with people that we have helped and people that we are helping. So, it's very important to find a group or individual that you can collaborate with and create that growth. And so in our eyes, Huddle for Success was the right topic, because not only a power of mastermind, but also one-on-one mentoring, and that's what we do.
Yep. I mean, when you brought this idea of a huddle to me, I was like, man, Duane, this is great, because as a basketball player, every time somebody goes to the foul line, you huddle up at the foul line, you time out, you huddle up on the bench. I've always been part of a huddle since playing sports. But when I started business, without even knowing it at first, I created a huddle. I met a friend who had a tanning salon in a different part of the country, and we didn't compete against each other. So we mastermind and we brainstorm, and we came up with some great ideas. He he gave me ideas that made my company so successful. I'll forever be in debt to him. He introduced me to another person, and we formed a three-way mastermind. We even shared back offices where our accounting services were shared and our marketing services were shared. That would have never happened without a mastermind group, and we became a lot more powerful that way.
I was going to say, I mean, the collaboration, use that word all the time, but I feel that's so impactful. You know, you sitting in a room by yourself, it's very hard to be creative, very hard to succeed. You may have a great vision, but kind of like when we started all this, when you brought it to my attention, light bulbs went off. It was the best thing that I have seen. So it was like, you know what? Collaborating on the idea of creating the business, it's it, huddling up. It was just the right name for it.
Yeah, Bob Proctor used to say, when you have one person, you have one person. When you have two people, you really have the power of 11.
Yes. Yeah. And
Uh,
there it is. That's right.
and that's true. So anyway, um, ha, well, I talked a little bit about Think and Grow Successful. I mean, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. How did you get introduced to that book? When did you read it the first time? I don't know. Tell people what you
The first time I read the book, I went through bits and pieces of it. And then I went back and said, I really need to read this because I went through it. I was on the plane and I was introduced to the book. I was introduced to the book about 20 years ago. Yeah, about 18, 20 years ago. And a buddy of mine said, Hey, listen, I'm reading this great book. You got to read it. And I'm like, okay. And so it was a short flight. And so I just kind of started thumbing through it. And I was highlighting different chapters and things that stood out to me about mindset, about achieving your goals. And so that night, when I got to where I was getting to in the hotel, I started reading it. I started from the beginning, and I couldn't put it down. It's so much information in there that really helped me. At the time, as a director of sales for a company, I was able to implement a lot of these ideas and train my sales guys on a lot of the segments that are in the book, and it was very helpful. It was helpful in a way of being able to look at stair stepping, what the training looked like, and how it would help someone with their mindset. And it was very impactful.
Yeah, it's funny because I read it. My dad shared it to me. He was part of a group of business people
Hmm.
in kind of part-time, and they were introducing him to books. And I read it while I was in college, and it probably sparked the reason that my wife and I opened our first business when we were 25. And I used a lot of it because, I thought I read it once. I understood what the book was all about. It's all, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. It's like, that's the book.
That's
And,
right.
and oddly enough, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I ran into Bob Proctor and found out that he had been studying that book since 1961.
That's
And that
incredible.
maybe it was a whole lot more than just if you think you can, and I mean,
Yeah,
that's true, but man, there is so much more to learn in it. And as you read each chapter, you can just pick up so much cool stuff.
absolutely.
So, um,
I know we made notes along the way, topics that we want to talk about, some cliff notes. I jotted down some things that I really wanted to touch on. And I know that we say from time to time, and people that I've talked to and said, "Hey, read our book." They ask all the time, who's your target market? Who are you looking to target through what you guys do? And then so I would say that number is anywhere from 45 to 70 over the years of help educating people, training people on different investment strategies. They all wanted one thing, and it was time, or they needed to reinvent themselves, or they were looking for additional income because their current job dictated how much they were going to make, and they felt like they needed more. And so I think you and I felt that good number that we typically see is anywhere from 45 to 70, but we're not, obviously that's what our vision is. But listen, this training is someone that can be 18 years of age or 20 years of age or
Absolutely.
A single parent that's raising two kids, that's 25 or 30 years of age, and it has all to deal with the mind and what you're capable of, and forgetting what people tell you of that you're not capable of doing. And so, that's the core. People that are listening, don't get, so thinking in the box of, oh my goodness, they can't work with me. That's not it.
Right.
The core is who we see that are reaching out is really fitting in that box. But again, like I mentioned, it's for any age, any gender. Those are the people that we work with.
Yeah, I wish I had learned all the stuff that we now have learned over the years and are sharing with other people. I wish I'd have been smart enough to learn it when I was young, but I wasn't ready. I thought I knew it all when I was in my 20s. I knew more than my dad did. And then as I hit my 40s, I realized, oh, maybe he knew more than I did, really. And maybe that's why that we don't work with people until they hit their midlife. They've had some success, but
Hmm.
they understand where they are and they know that there's something better and they might want to get there.
Well,
So
listen, look at me, for example. 30 years of being in an industry, and then being out of it for a couple years. I needed to reinvent myself. And, over the past 3 years, 2 years, I've been able to do that. And it's been a light bulb that has gone off that's allowed me to do that and be way more productive, just because of what we have in store. So, um,
and
good stuff.
how much would you say that your mindset has helped that?
Oh my goodness, the mindset's completely changed. Where I felt stuck, no different that, I mean, everybody goes through it. I felt stuck. I felt like I had a ton of information that I wanted to expose and help people. I have a heart and passion for helping people, and I felt like I had so much in here I was going to pop. And so once I got connected with it, it's like it just constantly spews out. I really believe my strength is one-on-one. That's what I've done for 30 years, and your strength is to the masses. And so I like that. I like that we are able to bring to the table one-on-one situations where, I can do that, but I think that we both, again, bring different styles, um, different strengths to Huddle for Success, and that's what makes this so successful. That's
Yeah,
the vision that we saw.
that's what makes it so exciting because
Yeah.
if you bring somebody on just like yourself, you just got two of the same thing. But one of the things that we like to teach is if there's something that you're not good at, find somebody who is good at it and bring them onto your team because life is a team sport. I mean, the more contacts you have, the more team members you have working together with you, that's what's going to help you succeed. Um, we touched a little bit about on limiting beliefs. I mean, a lot of people. I said I was going to talk about paradigm. So what is a paradigm? When I say a paradigm, what do I mean? Bob explained a paradigm as it's a multitude of habits that you have that are in your subconscious mind that kind of control what you do. It's I kind of realized in the shower this morning that I found a little paradigm that I didn't even know I had. I was washing my hair and I had the shampoo all up in my head here and I'm doing down here because I used to have sideburns. Now, I don't have sideburns anymore, and I used to have a beard, but I still, when I wash my hair, even with no sideburns, I'm still doing down here sometimes. And that's paradigm. It's a habit that's built into your subconscious. You just do it because it's a habit. And your paradigm, it's not only physical habits, it's thinking habits. Some people are told that money, you might have heard your parents say, money doesn't grow on trees. Uh, uh, you'll never be rich. Um, those kind of limiting beliefs were paradigms that were passed down to your parents or whoever you heard say that, and then they got planted in little seeds in your mind, in your subconscious mind.
Hmm.
Uh, Old. I've heard people say, I'm too old right now. I can't find a job because nobody's going to hire somebody who's in their 60s. And okay, well, that's really just a paradigm. Colonel Sanders, well, he didn't get a job. He started a company, Kentucky Fried Chicken, when he was 65 years old. Bob Proctor didn't really become famous until he was 72 and when he starred in the movie The Secret. I mean, I think I told you, Duane, when I first heard Colonel Sanders was 65 when he opened Kentucky Fried Chicken, I was 25 and I thought, oh my gosh, he's almost dead.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
I guess I must almost be dead because I just turned 65, but it doesn't seem so old anymore. And
Yeah,
it
right.
seems like a great time to start something new, which is why I'm so excited to be working with you.
Yeah, this is great.
So,
Awesome.
um, other ways that are there anything you can talk about how somebody might change their paradigm or how paradigms can be improved?
I think the most important thing to remember is you have to embrace change. Because if you can't embrace change, you're going to stay in a mindset of I can never do it. And we know how important change is and staying in the box. That you and I both have been in the investment business of notes, in real estate notes. And we would always tell people, listen, the market is the market and it's going to change. And if you can't adapt to the market condition, the market's not going to adapt to you. You have to adapt to it. And I would say that paradigm shift has to be processed into where that's no different than anything on a daily basis for you, whether it's creating a new business, whether it's uh, creating or changing jobs, going to a different job, and it may be in the same field, but now you're working at a different place. And what's that mindset that you have to have? And so it's very important that you have that paradigm shift, or else you're just going to stay in the box.
Yep. One of the things we teach in the thinking and result, we teach people how you can actually change your paradigm. There are methods in Think and Grow Rich that Napoleon Hill talked about that Andrew Carnegie, when Napoleon Hill first interviewed Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world, um, Andrew Carnegie said, I want you to, would you be willing to study for the next 20 years, interview 500 people, put together a system that you could teach to the masses of how to become successful? And he said, yes. And he's like, I'm going to give you something to say every morning and every night before you go to bed to, to encourage you whenever you run into a situation where you might not want to move forward. And
Hmm.
it was something like, uh, I, Napoleon Hill, am going to exceed you, Andrew Carnegie. I'm going to meet you at the post. I'm going to pass you at the grandstand. And when Carnegie gave Napoleon this thing to say, he was like, you know, daggone well, that's not true. I'll never pass you. And Andrew Carnegie said, well, that's absolutely true if that's what you think.
Hmm.
But I'm telling you to say that every day and believe it as you say it. And Napoleon Hill did it. And he said after about a week, he started to think, you know, this might actually be possible. So auto suggestion, that's one of the things we'll talk about, you know, way down the road as we grow this podcast and give you more good stuff. What about the what's the real currency of life in your opinion? What's really important to you is when you think of riches and wealth and a wealthy mindset?
Well, I used to tell all my sales guys and students that I worked with, money is a result, not a cause. And everybody wants money. And I would say to them, what is it that you want? But it can't be money. Write down what you really want, because if you want good health and you only have a couple dollars, well, I mean, how can you buy better health? You know what I mean? So what is it that you really want? And so I would say typically what I would hear people ask for is time. They want more time. They want to be able to have a life that they can choose what they want to do. They want to be able to have the freedom of going on vacation, working their business, being able to spend time with family. And I think all three of those are important for a balance of life. I mean, if you constantly are working, 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 and you have all this money, how are you getting any balance with life, with spirituality, with, at some point you have to relax your mind and grow. And I can tell you that, my situation here at my house taking care of my mom, it's, constantly doing that. I need a break once in a while. And so when I do get the breaks, it's like you even say yourself, man, you can tell you had a couple days off, and your mind's back to being good and focused again. And so I think that being able to create a daily balance for yourself, that's important. Regardless of how much money you have, balance in your life is very important.
Yeah, I was thinking there was something that you created, that we use with some of our clients, and it's our scorecard for life. And it's a checklist of 10 areas of your life, your personal life, your family life, your spiritual life, your business, and
That's a
and
good point.
and you grade it, and you fill it out, and you say one's not so good, ten's really good. And how do you score on that? Hey, if any of you would like to see that, when I went through that the first time, it was impactful. It really made me realize where I might actually need to spend more time working.
Yeah, and so the thought behind it was, let's create something, most people are visual people, men and women. I know I am, I know you are. And so the thought, the design behind it was, when we work with individuals, let's have them come into the program and see where they're at. And then every quarter, we will measure that. So they're going to be able to see the progression of what we take them through, to where now, a year later, now they have a report card, and it shows, hey, this is your progression and this is where you're at. And so, thanks for bringing that up. I forgot all about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but so if anybody would like to get a copy of it, just shoot us a message, info at Huddle for Success, send us an email, we can get that out to you. Um, let's see, what else? We've talked about it a lot, how, you know, your the huddle, your mastermind group is so important. And my dad told me once, he's like, the difference between who you are today and who you'll be 5 years from now are the people that you hang around with and the books that you read. And
Yes.
that is so true. And if you want to see, so I've also heard it said that if you want to see who you are, look at the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's who you're going to be like. So be very careful on who you put in your mastermind groups, and what you think and what you do with those people. So, any last thoughts?
Um, yeah, I hope, my hope for people that listen to this is that, um, that they can look at themselves after every conversation that we have, or at the end of the day that they have, and measure themselves. Are they where they want to be in life? Are you where you want to be at on a daily basis? And are you able to hit your goals, whether they're professional goals, whether it's a financial goal, whether it's a spirituality goal? Are you in touch with your God? And where are you at? How do you measure all that? And if you're not doing it, the question I would ask is why? Because I can tell you, once I started measuring where I'm at and where I needed to get to, the older that you get, as you know, we all are like, man, time is passing by, time's passing by. Well, look, we're almost in August, and it seemed like it was just, New Year's. And so time passes us by. The older we get, the faster it goes. And so, again, if you're not measuring yourself of where you're at, I would put that challenge on you, and see if you can create your own scorecard, and realize, hey, at the end of the week, I'm really not getting anywhere. At the end of the month, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm still doing the same thing like a hamster on a wheel, same thing, same results, and no changes. And so I know here at Huddle for Success, we're here to help you along with your journey so you're not stuck and that you're able to really get a vision of where we can take you. And that's what we do.
Yep. My challenge to you is one that Bob gave to me, which was if you had all the tools and skills and money that you needed to achieve any goal that you wanted, what would you do? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you choose to do? I challenge everybody to think about that.
It's a good one.
This world is evolving so fast. There are going to be technology breakthroughs in the next 2 years that you could have never dreamed of 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so everybody's going to need to be ready to learn more and do different things. And we, like Duane said, we hope that we can help you along the way. Hopefully you get a little bit out of this episode. And, we look forward to seeing you again next week. Next week, we'll probably touch on a little bit. We'll move on to chapter 2 in our book and
Awesome.
recognizing where and when you're stuck.
Perfect. Hey, do us a favor, like, share. If you know someone that you feel like this would be impactful for them and could help them, have them tune in to our channel. Go to YouTube, and again, like and share our information. We would appreciate it. 5-star rating. That's always great. I look forward to seeing you next time on Huddle for Success.
See you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Huddle for Success. If you found it helpful and want to support others on their journey, share this podcast, leave us a rating, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll see you next week on Huddle for Success. Stay huddled up.